This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas. The information contained in this podcast is intended for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for individual professional legal advice. The podcast information was carefully compiled from vetted sources and references. However, R.O.S.E Resources Outreach to Safeguard the Elderly cannot guarantee that you will not fall victim to a scam. Let's talk about scams. It's the must-listen show for anyone who wants to protect themselves and their loved ones from scams. Every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time on K4HD Radio, Joyce Petrowski, founder of R.O.S E, and her guests will provide valuable insights and practical tips on how to recognize and protect yourself from scams. And now, here is your host, Joyce Petrowski.
Hi, I'm David.
Staying active mentally, playing chess, those are all very important things.
I'm 72, but I'm going to keep on learning. I'm going to keep on moving. I'm going to keep on living my life.
Healthcare for David's next move. Learn more at r12health.com.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Let's Talk About Scams. I'm Joyce Petrowski. You can find more information if you go to our website at roseadvocacy.org. You'll find our social media channels at the top of the homepage. Scroll down to the bottom. You can see where you sign up for our newsletters. We do one at the beginning of the month that we send out in the mail. And we also do one via email that comes out at the beginning of the month, the larger newsletter. But then every Tuesday morning, you're going to get a Tuesday tip. You might learn something new. It might just reinforce what you already know. But the really just as important thing about it is that it's reinforcing your scam prevention habits. It's helping you build that healthy skepticism. Social media channels at the top of the page. Click on that YouTube and click subscribe to the YouTube channel so you get notified of any new videos we have out there and get notified of what's coming up on the radio show each week. So today it's going to be a short one. We're going to go over some different settings. I'm going to share my screen. Oops. There we go. All right. So the first one is we are going to go over the cookies. So, you get on the websites and it comes up and it says about managing cookies or accepting all of them or just accept, or there's a reject button or accept only necessary, ton of different ways. And that's where you can actually go in, you can manage, you can look at the different cookies that the company is tracking. You can read about them, make a decision. But if you want to do it for all third-party cookies, these three dots here in the top right of your screen is is what you're going to do. So you click on that, you come down, and you're going to go to the last one. It's settings. And over here on the right-hand side, you're going to go to privacy and security. And looks like I need to go to a safety check here regarding some extensions and permissions, which I'll do at a later date. But here, this is where you can delete your browsing data. So a lot of times, if your internet browser's not working right, it's slowing down, just doing some stuff weird, you can go in here and you can delete browsing history, cookies, and cached items. And you can delete everything. You can delete the last 24 hours, the last hour, last 15 minutes. And then that might help your device run better. But then we go down here, third-party cookies. You can see mine, it says third-party cookies are blocked. but let's get into it. And it might be by default that it's going to allow third-party cookies unless you go in and change it. So if you allow those third-party cookies, websites can use the third-party cookies to personalize content and ads and learn about actions you take while you're on their website. Some website features that rely on third-party cookies should work as expected. But also when you're in incognito mode, Chrome blocks sites from using third-party cookies. So there's a way to go in incognito mode as well. So I have them blocked, and so the websites cannot use third-party cookies to personalize contents and ads and learn about actions that you take while you're on their site, unless you have allowed related sites to access them. So down here at the bottom, sites allowed to use third-party cookies. It affects any sites you have listed here. You would have to add them. So this would be an exception to blocking them up here. And in this instance, you have to add an asterisk before the domain name creates the exception for the entire domain. So that would be an exception to it. But the websites can still use cookies to see browsing activity on their own site. And site features that rely on third-party cookies may not work. I could go in here and turn on to allow related sites to see activity in the group. But it's the company that's going to define a group of sites that can use cookies to share your activity in the group. You would just have to click here and that turns it on. I'm going to turn it back off though. I've got this one turned on. It's an advanced send a do not track request with your browsing traffic. And again, there's this little disclaimer: sites use their discretion when responding to this request. So that's a way to, now you might still have to manage cookies on the actual site itself. Because, yeah. Okay. So let's go back to privacy guide. That's just a tour there. Security. So I'm on Google. And so here's some safe browsing. I have enhanced protection turned on, real-time AI-powered protection against dangerous sites, downloads and extensions that's based on your browsing data getting sent to Google. So when this is on, it warns you about dangerous sites, even ones Google didn't know about before, by analyzing more data from sites than the regular standard protection. You can choose to skip Chrome. You can still choose to skip the warnings and go to the site, but at least it's giving you a warning. It does in-depth scans for suspicious downloads, and when you're signed in, it protects you across Google services. So it improves security. And there's some things that they want you to consider. It sends the URLs of sites you visit and a small sample of page content, downloads, extension activity, and systems information to Google Safe Browsing to check if they're harmful. So it is sharing some information with Google. When you're signed in, the data is linked to your Google account to protect you. And it doesn't noticeably slow down your browser or your device. If you want to learn more about how Chrome keeps your data private, you can click here. If you don't have enhanced protection on, it'll be standard or no protection, which is not recommended. So standard protection gives you some protection, but the enhanced protection gives you even more for safe browsing. This, I don't know why I don't have it turned on, but I'm going to turn it on now. Always use secure connections. For sites that don't support secure connections, get warned before visiting the site. So it warns you for insecure public sites. Um, and I'm going to click here. So that was the default. I'm going to click, I want it to warn me for insecure public and private sites. If they don't think it's a secure connection. Um, there's some other things down here, advanced, it'll warn you if a password was compromised in a data breach. So when you go to put the password in, it'll come up and tell you, prompt you to change it, that it's been in a data breach. And I've got this turned on, this DNS. Make it harder for people with access to your internet traffic to see which sites you visit. Security keys, certificates. I don't need to go into any of those down there. So as you can see, there's a ton of stuff in here. If you have autofills and passwords, you can go in here, and it's going to list them, and you can verify it's you or remove the account. You can change your autofill settings. Down here's your Google Password Manager, your Google Wallet. So there's a lot of different things you can do there. Let me go back to, if you want to look at extensions, they're down here, and look to see if you want to delete any extensions. And if I go back up to these three dots, so you can, if you want to search, you remember the one, let's see, third party, was it under third party cookies? Is where it set it, or yeah, right here. Allow related sites to see your activity in the group. I have it turned off. But if you are automatically in incognito mode, if that's how you're browsing, you click on those three dots. You can do a new tab, a new window, but you can do a new incognito window. And when I pull that up, you're going to get this. You've gone incognito, and that's a safer way to, third-party cookies are blocked. It won't say, Chrome won't save your browsing history, cookies, and other site data, and it won't save information entered in forms, but your activity might still be visible to websites you visit, your employer or school, and your internet service provider. So it's just an added layer of security if you want to go in incognito mode, and then you can just type in a website and get there. So that's it on the cookies. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. There we go. Couple other things I wanted to just go over. I think we might have mentioned this on the last week's show when Joan was on, towards the end, but I'm going to talk about it again. A lot of us, when we have the multi-factor authentication code set up, we have it set up to be texted. It just might be easier for a lot of us. And if you don't have your text preview turned off, you're going to get you get your notification of the text, and it usually has the first couple lines of the text message could very well show your multi-factor code on there. So you want to make sure that you go in and turn that off. Once you have it turned off, you are still going to see the name of the person or the phone number of the person or company that texted you, and it'll say text message. But it's not going to show a preview of the actual message itself. So if you, and I haven't done this in a little while, so if you go into your settings and go down to apps, and then I have an iPhone, so I'm doing this from an iPhone. An Android, you could just, if you wanted to do an internet search to say how to stop text message previews on an Android, then it'll give you the instructions. But once you go into settings, you go to apps, go to messages, and then go into let's see here. I think it's under notifications. Oops. Yeah, under notifications. And then down towards the bottom, there's an area called lock screen appearance, and it says show previews. You could have the default on mine is always show the preview. So you'd have to go in and you could say when it's unlocked. So when your phone's not locked, like maybe it's within that 10, 15, 30 seconds, whatever it is from when you've used it, and a text message pops up. If your phone is in the unlocked position, it'll show the preview of it if you have it when unlocked. I have never. So, yes, it takes a little bit of extra time, seconds, because I have to unlock my phone, go into my text messages, and read it in order to get the number. But it is safer. You don't want someone sitting there. You happen to go to the bathroom and your phone's locked, and you think it's safe, but then all of a sudden they're trying to get into one of your accounts, and it pops up on a text message preview, and they can see your code. Um, the other thing that I wanted to go over was in your settings. If you go down to apps, you can go down you can look at all your you can manage your default apps on the iPhone, but you can go down to every single app that you've downloaded, and you can look at the notifications. And I'm going to choose American Airlines. I just flew in yesterday, so I'm choosing American Airlines. And the first one that comes up is location, and I have never. So um, I don't want my phone sharing my location with the American Airlines app. Now, I have choices, and I have never chosen, but there's also always while using the app or ask the next time or when I share it. So there's different things, and then contacts is the next one down. So I have none. I don't want American Airlines app to have access to my contacts. Um, I could say limited access, which means I'd have to go in and select which contacts I want American Airlines to have access to, or I could say full access, meaning they could have access to every single contact that's in my phone. There isn't any reason why they need it. They just want it. Um, and a lot of times when you go to download an app, it will ask you for these voluntary permissions. And I think a lot of us, because we're in a hurry, we just say yes, yes to get the app downloaded without even looking and reading what permissions it's asking. So you can just go down through there. Some other things that are on here is I could give it access to my camera, my Apple Wallet, my calendars. Um, so there's a lot of things. Now, like on my calendar, I just tell it to add an event. So like if I book a ticket, then it'll automatically add it to my calendar. But you can go down through any of your other ones. And one of the ones I was gonna get onto was it Google Maps here. So if I get into Google Maps, now if I want to use Google Maps, they're going to have to know where my location is. And so I have that one set to while I'm using the app, it can access my location, which makes sense because it's going to want to know where you're at in order to tell you how to get someplace that you're looking for. Um, it was asking for access to my photos, and I said no. Um, let's see some other ones in here. Hilton Honors, here's one that I have. Actually, that one I went into, and it it doesn't ask for your location or your contacts or anything like that. What about Instagram? So Instagram, you can give it access to your location, but I don't. I have never. It wants access to your photos, and I say none. Now, it's going to have access if you try to go to post a photo, from your phone, and that could be the limited access, which would be selected photos, and you've given it access to those photos. So, anyways, I think you guys get the idea. Just go into those and check out what permissions that you've given and turn off those ones that aren't necessary. Not every single app needs to know your location all the time, where you're at. They don't need to have access to your contacts. They don't need to have access to your photos. And so turn them off. Or like if it's on the Google Maps or a different map app, it's going to need your location while you're using the app because it needs to know where you're at. So just check those settings and go in and let's stop sharing everything about us with all these different apps. And hopefully your friends and family, talk to them, because if you're in their contacts, you don't want them sharing their contacts with those apps either, and getting your information that way. So that's all I have for today. Told you it was going to be a short one. Next week, we're going to have a guest, Mary Doyle, with Adult Care Assistance Home Care. And we are going to talk about in-home, non-medical in-home care, and if it is regulated here in Arizona, how that works, and some different questions to, if you're searching for a non-medical in-home care company, some different questions to ask when you're interviewing these companies. And, do all of them accept veterans benefits? Probably not. But anyways, Mary's is one of the many experts on this. And so we're going to talk to her next week about that. So don't forget, get on our website, roseadvocacy.org. Social media channels are at the top. Signing up for the newsletters down at the bottom. And tune in to see what Mary has to say next week. All right. Thank you.
Well, that's all the knowledge for this episode. Tune in every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time on K4HD Radio at k4hd.com as Joyce explores a variety of knowledge so you have the power to make scam protection your healthy habit. And until then, feel free to reach out to Joyce and let's talk about scams.